good evening, everybody. How are you? Thanks for being here at Boca. Yep, you're in the right place. Glad to have you. Hello, doll. How's everybody? Kind of letting everybody get logged in here. Sorry, I feel like I'm a little unprepared tonight. I spent the afternoon getting a, what's it called? I don't know, some kind of test. Man, I can't even think about it now. Sheepers, creepers. MRI. That's it. MRI. Thank you. And man, an hour and a half in that machine. That was a long time. A lot longer than I thought it was going to be. Oh well, here we are. All right. Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry, that wasn't for me. The market is not doing well. The market is a little different, yes. Hey, tonight I want to talk a little bit about the art of taking profits, but we're going to look at the market first. And this is just something I tossed together. I hope that we can talk about it, and who knows, we may expand it, take some different ideas, and add to it. But I thought we ought to talk about something like this. We're always talking about other things, but I think we need to talk about taking profits, and I just think that would be a good idea. So first, let's just chat about this market just a little bit, and we'll try to figure it out. And honestly, if there was a way that I knew what tomorrow was going to do, I'd be out there screaming at the top of my lungs. And most evenings when the market closes, honestly, I feel like I have a handle on the market. I don't have a handle on what news could happen at night, but just looking at the chart, I do feel comfortable about what I feel tomorrow, what will happen tomorrow, based on the charts and the price action, the candlesticks, things like that. But I got to tell you, this has got me a little bit stumped. That's the thing about a doji. In fact, today in the trading room, a doji is the definition of a doji is indecision, and I said in the trading room we ought to change that. The definition of a doji is keep you guessing to see what happens. That's all a doji is. It's not, I don't think it's indecision. It's keep you guessing on what's happening next. So here we have this bearish engulf here, and we took some SPY puts based on this bearish engulf. I would, for instance, what is this? This is Tuesday. So Monday, like I said, when the market closes, I do feel like I have kind of a handle on what the market is doing. So near the close, we took some SPY puts here because, as members will know, something like this, I will always say, if I have to make a bet, I'm going to bet that we see a lower low tomorrow with this candle, following this candle. And sure enough, that's what happened. We saw a lower low. Now, I don't have a clue where it's going to close, but I'll take the bet every single time. There certainly are those times that you'll lose that bet, but 9 out of 10 times I think you'll win that bet. So we ended up with SPY puts, did pretty well on it. A lot of members did that as well. But here we are with the doji now. So what are we going to do? Are we going to go down? Are we going to go up? Is this a buy the dip? Is it, is the market just taking a pause here? I really wish I could tell you that. I think what we're going to have to do is just the way you would treat a doji. We have the top of the doji here. We have the bottom of the doji, the low. We're going to have to wait and see if the bulls are going to come into here, or are we going to see some bears come into here? That's really what we're going to need to see. We need to see that follow through. Now, the thing here is, if the bulls come in, we're going to change the color a little bit. If the bulls come in, we do have a trend line here that we're going to need to break out of. So the bulls come in. There's a fair amount of resistance up here. So let's say tomorrow. Let's say tomorrow we open up and we start climbing. Now, I don't think this is the best thing to chase personally. I really don't. I don't think that's the best thing to chase. I think that we should kind of sit back and relax a little bit, start a watch list for sure. And then if we start to see follow through over that trend line, well, that might be a different game. Now, I know this is the way I'm going to handle it. Now we can look at buying some positions to the long side. And if it did by the end of the day, say close down, we could always get out of those positions. But on that breakout, that just might be the clue we need that the bulls are ready to push higher. On the other side, if we start pushing down, honestly, with the 50 period moving average right here, man, I see that being tagged, especially if we do break below today's low. So we'll be watching that 50 period moving average, and we'll be watching a possible breakout of this trend line right here. Anything inside, just a noisy day, I think just a lot of caution ought to be had. If we take a look at, say, FNGU, I follow this chart an awful lot. Nice day today, absolutely fantastic. But I don't think it gave the chart any big help. Not any big help at all. Because what we need to see is a trend. And to get that trend, we need to have a low, which we have that. And then what we need to see is a high, which actually we have that too. But now what we need to see is consolidation. And then we need to see a breakout of that high right there. Then this becomes the tradable bottom right through there. Now, what could happen here is right here. What could happen is we could see follow through right away. But as we push up, the more we push up, actually, the more we're going to get into resistance. So this is where I would start looking for that pullback. Where we pull back and where the buyers step in, if they step in, that's where we'll put the trend line. Something like that. Then if the buyers can push us up and out, so make that blue, I guess, over that high, there we go, then we can look at this as the tradable bottom. So we do have the low, but we need to see a high, and we need to see some kind of a rest. It could be a sideways rest too, that's fine. But then it needs to break out, and there we can draw our line. And even at this, even down here, doing something like that, what we've got to watch out for is we still have a downtrend here. Another thing we have is the whole 50 period moving average and the Trendicator down as well. So while today was pretty darn good for FNGU, really did nothing for the chart. It could be the starting point. That's possible. Could be the starting point. But we need to see this move up. The reason I'm showing this and talking about this right now is I think as traders we all have a little of that fear of missing out disease every now and then. When we start thinking that, oh man, this is a great candle, let's hop into this, there is no proof that this is going to actually follow through. There's no proof that this is going to actually go higher. And this is what we all want right here. That's what we all want. Well, probably 98% of people. There are some traders out there that they just hope for a negative market so they can short. There are some that just wish for that right there. So just be careful. Be careful with this market right now. Let's take a look at, I've looked at this here recently. lately here. And look how we've trended up here. Lows, higher lows. Now this was actually a double bottom right here. But you see that trend? And I tell you what, let's just follow the T line up. I'm just going to go underneath the T line right here. Just a little bit. Just ever so lightly. There we go. You can see that we're actually trending up here. Yesterday was a pretty darn good candle in the VIX. We had a gap up today and we came right up where there seems like there is a truckload of resistance right here. I clearly can see that. A lot of touches, a lot of accumulation right in this area, and that's causing some resistance. So this kind of makes sense. But if we were just for a second, just to forget that this is the VIX, and if this was just simply a chart, we would put this on our watch list. We would pray for a pullback, and then we would pray for those bulls to step in, because we've got ourselves a pretty nice chart pattern right there. So sometimes, because it's the VIX, we tend to poo-poo this off. That's not a real chart. You're not going to trade this, that sort of thing. So we tend to overlook it sometimes, but I think we need to pay attention to it. I really do. VXX, whoops, where's it at? VXX, if you're following VXX, great bullish Hiromi yesterday, and then a nice little gap up here. That's a pretty nice chart. But again, sometimes some traders, that's VXX. I'm not going to worry about that. Well, I would kind of pay attention to it. Whether you trade it or not, I'd kind of pay attention to it, because this might be the sign that there's a little bit of fear coming in. Look at the volume in here today. Pretty heavy on the volume. So yeah, I'm just trying to point out a little caution in the market, basically. Basically, that's what I'm doing. Diamonds. I think the diamonds actually fared pretty well today, all things considered. Shooting star here, gap down. We held above the Trendicator. Trendicator stayed green. I think that's positive, but that doesn't mean that we can't slide down tomorrow here. So let's just be a little careful out there in the market right now. So let me answer one question here. If I was out there and I said that be careful in the market, I might have a question like this. Well, how do I be careful in the market? Well, you could just not trade. That could be that's actually something you could do, is just don't trade for a few days. Who knows? Maybe even a few weeks. I doubt it will go to that. But for a couple of days, you know what? It might not be good trading right now. Just might not be. Here's what I'm afraid of is we have something bearish here, right? And we get bearish. Everything's looking great. Now I'm going to respect the 50-period moving average. So I guarantee you that if I get into something bearish, which what I'm likely to do is actually trade the SPY. So if I buy some SPY puts here, I'll guarantee you it gets to the 50. I'm closing it out. That's just one of my little rules. But someone else might look at this and you see nothing but selling going on. So you stay with it, and you think you've got yourself some big old short here. You've done all your homework. Oh, I'm going to make it up here. You do your homework. You think, well, this is where we're going. When what happens the next day, we bounce and ba-boom, and you're sitting there wondering what the hell just happened. Well, what just happened is normal charting. So just be careful. This market turns very, very, very fast. And it's the same going up. So if we come up and then all of a sudden we start jamming back down, be careful if you get long too fast and too much, okay? All right. There we go. Anyone have any questions on the market? Or I've got a couple minutes for a few charts if anyone has those. And then what I'd like to do is, I've got kind of I thought I had a PowerPoint here. There it is. I have a 3 PowerPoint, 4 slides and it's just more notes for me than anything that we can talk about. But first, I'd like to give anybody any chance for. Hey, Gwen, thanks. I've been kind of reading a little bit there as much as I could and talk. Man, Gwen, I hugs to you, okay? I wish we could do something. All right. Thank you for letting us all know, okay? Appreciate it. Mark K., my opinion on Apple. My opinion on Apple right now is it's not a trade. And that is, and I would like to trade Apple long, but I do not feel it's a long trade. And the reason I don't is because, let's do this. We've had a nice little trend here, and it just consolidated. No worries, no problem, consolidation. We had a little move up, and all of a sudden it turned red here, right? Ugly. And then we had a move down like this. Well, just like this bottom here had to create a bottom before we could go up. See how we have a low, a high, a higher low, and then see how we broke out there, right there. And even now, in hindsight, I will fight all day long saying that was not a buy, that is not a buy, that is not a buy. Now, in hindsight, yeah, it looks absolutely wonderful. The problem is every chart that you find like this, I'll show you 10 that did not work out. So the buy was on a breakout of this high right here. So the money would have been right in here. So that could have been good money right there. Now, let's get rid of that. So what has this got to do with this over here? Well, this downtrend is just like this downtrend right here. So what do we need to happen here? We need for the bulls to put in a low, which as of today, it looks like they have, okay? So now what we need is some sort of high, wherever that is. We could see follow through tomorrow, wherever that high is. I have no idea. Then we need a little bit of consolidation, and it can be just rest to the right. But once we start to see some kind of bullishness in there like that, then we can draw a trend line on there and now start using that trend line. And wherever this high is, we'll just go across like this, and then this becomes the tradable bottom, not this. So I'm not bearish on Apple. That I am not. I am absolutely not bearish on Apple. I want to be bullish on Apple, but I can't be buyable on that bullishness until the chart pattern is setting up. I know clearly a lot of people bought this right here, okay? The thing about it, the people that bought this, one thing you don't know, and this is something to think about whenever you see a bullish candle here. There we go. When you see a bullish candle, who's buying this candle? Who's buying it? I have to wonder, are these long-term traders? In which case, my attitude about long-term, buy it anywhere. Who gives a rat's patoot where you buy it? If you're going to hold it for 5 years, who cares if you buy it right here or up here? Who cares? So are these traders actually buying it? Or are these long-term holders buying it? Are these traders that think they're sticking some big fat pig and they're going to eat really good? Well, I hope it works out for them. I truly do. But until it does this, nothing's going to work out for them. So who was the buyers here? Yeah. So, I want to make sure that a swing trader's pattern, I'll call it that. It could be a lot of other traders, but a good swing trader's pattern is set up before I want to buy it. Okay? Does that make sense? Does that make sense? All right, cool. Let's see. What would you make of XOM? XOM here. Let's pull this. XOM to me, this is just a bullish pullback. That's all this is to me. And the reason it's a bullish pullback because the trend is not broken yet. And by the way, I'm almost always going to use something like this Trendicator here. That's my trend. Now, I don't always use price, things like that, because price rattles around. Price is like a drunken sailor. I mean, price can't walk a straight line. Price doesn't know what a straight line is. Price just doesn't do that. This is why I tend to use something like a moving average for my trend, or the Trendicator here, which is nothing more than a moving average. So I'll use that, but then I trade the price is what I do. So I'm looking at XOM here. So far, I see nothing but a bullish chart. I see this as being a pullback, yes. I don't see the buyers stepping in yet, no. And until we break down through here, I'll remain bullish on this. Not buyable, but bullish. And we're going to need to see some buying candles in there. And we might even, when this gets down there, what we may end up needing is a little bit of a bullishness and a rest. And then maybe that's when it really starts to go up. Okay. So that's what I see there, David, on XOM. What do I think of XBI? XBI. I think it's still in a downtrend. That's what I think. I think it's in a downtrend, and I think you had a nice piercing candle today. Like all single candlesticks, we need to see follow through. So this would be a buy on bullishness above today's body here. That's what I would look for. So what I'm going to, and you know, the reality is this can be this big right here. So what I'm going to look for, if I was looking to buy this, is I'm going to have to see some follow through, and I want to see a rest right here. And then I want to see buyers, and then I would consider buying it. Now here's the thing. Let's take this out of the picture here. So if we're thinking about buying some XBI, I'm going to move this too. We can clearly see we have a downtrend here, right? I mean, no one can argue that downtrend. So let me ask you this. How desperate are we to buy this and trade it to that trend line? How desperate are we? 5% desperate? I don't think I'm that desperate. How about we wait till it breaks out? How about we do that? How about we do that? And then let it break out. I guarantee you, I promise you, I'll buy you a big fat steak dinner if it does not do this. Now, I'm not saying it's going to break out. I'm saying if it breaks out, I will guarantee you it's going to rest. And then if the bulls are going to hang around, they will come in there. And that will be our clue to trade. Now, that's exactly what I think of XBI, because I don't think 5% is worth the hassle on this, personally. Let's see. Do you see an entry in XLI? XLI. With follow through? Yeah. Follow through back up to the upside. I would see that. Nice, beautiful trend. So far, it's not a horrible pullback. We've got a nice trend here with the Trendicator. But I'm going to need to see the bulls come back. And if they were to get over today's candle, that just might get us interested in that. Not a bad chart. Ultimately, we're going to have to take out this shooting star here. But that could be a little entry right in there. What was the other one? XLF? Same thing with XLF. And a lot of these charts today are like that. Yesterday was just a bad day. Just all the way around, yesterday turned out to be a bad day. Today, we had to gap down, and there are a ton of charts set up like this. So what we need to see are the buyers come in, and that's where we'll start looking at picking up that trend. And a simple thing here is just go back and look at everything in this chart. It does it everywhere. Now, it may not look like this or this, big shooting star, but it's the same thing everywhere. Here we are up, right? Up. Here we are pulling back, pulling back. Here we are moving up again. We could do that same pattern right here. Up, up, pull back, and then up we go again. So we just have to wait for those buyers to come in and confirm that this trend is starting to work again. Now, there are some things here that I think we ought to be a little careful of. I follow the 3-bar chart an awful lot, probably more than I let on, to tell you the truth. I don't talk about it too much. Sometimes I have my moments where I talk about it, but overall, I don't. We're not always looking at it. We're looking at a daily chart most of the time. But on another monitor here, I have a 3-bar chart set up. So take XLF right here. The same rules apply. For me, it's all about the Trendicator. Well, if we're following the Trendicator, it is, okay? It's a very important, valuable tool in my trading. And one thing I vow to do, and I break this rule sometimes, and sometimes I'm very sorry that I do. I don't ever want to go long when we're red, when those dots are red. I want to go long when those dots turn green. So if tomorrow we were to come up like this, it would turn that dot green, and that could certainly be a buy. But while it's under those red dots right there, while price is under those red dots, I have a hard time getting interested in this stock. Now, XLF, XLI, these are ones that I have on my watch list. I just have a ETF list. I know they're there. And I watch it. So if I catch it moving up, I can certainly see that as a buy. But we're going to have to change the direction of the Trendicator because right now the Trendicator is down. Okay. Let's see here. FCX. FCX is pretty nice. I kind of like that. This is the 3-bar chart. I actually bought some today of this. Yeah, I bought some FCX today. We've got a possible J-hook happening here on a 3-bar chart. There's that would be the J-hook right here. A belt hold here turned engulf, and we had follow through. This is what the daily chart looks like right here. Not quite a bullish engulf, but clearly a bullish piercing candle. If the market is weak tomorrow, I wouldn't be surprised if this pulls back. But then that's why that's my stop right there. Just in case it gets ugly. That'll be my stop right in there. So right now I'm bullish on FCX. Looks pretty good, but we're going to need to see that follow through. Okay, how far would it break out before pulling back is their rule of thumb. HT, I don't know which one we were talking about there. Without a ticker symbol, I just, when you're on this side of the microphone and you're talking, you can't keep track of what 10 minutes later, the question is without a ticker symbol. Sorry. If you want to type your message with a ticker symbol, I'll see what I can do. So Shay, that question, is XLC looking like XLI? I don't know. Is it? I mean, is it? Does that look like that? So I'm going to say no. Now after that, I don't know what you're asking. Okay, so maybe you can give me some help there. What are you asking here? Because I don't think that's what you meant to ask. And the answer is no, they don't look alike. Let's see, plug. Okay, after plug, I want to go into this profit-taking thing, if that's okay. So plug is the same thing. Look, here's the deal, okay? This is never going to change. We're in a downtrend. You've got a very nice candle right here. Extremely nice. But is that a buy? Some folks, yes. Some folks, yes. But we're still in a downtrend. So if this candlestick doesn't show any follow through and it turns down, it's going to suck for the people that bought it. So here's the thing. As traders, we need to understand that trading it's not a guessing game. Trading is not a guessing game. To me, this is a guessing game. We're guessing, is it going to go higher? There is absolutely nothing in this chart that suggests this is going to go higher. Nothing. Because there's a huge amount of resistance still here. Granted, that is a superb candle and superb volume. But as traders, we have to have a plan that we stick to. Okay? And we want some confirmation. We need this confirmation. You'll last longer as a trader and you'll grow richer as a trader if you have this plan. So while I do not think this is a buy, I do think it needs to be put on a watch list. That I do think. And you can see this being in a downtrend here. We need to see it go in an uptrend. We need to see it rest, and then we can start looking for a buy. Okay? So, and Plug is one of those hot stocks on my hot watch list, and I'll certainly have my eyeballs on it, but I'm not going to chase it when it hasn't confirmed anything. So, anyway, that's my 2 cents on the trade. And I want to shout out right now, I hope everyone understands. So I'm not hip on this. It doesn't mean that it can't just run like crazy. It doesn't mean that it's not a buy here for somebody. It's just part of my plan, part of what I think swing traders need is some confirmation. And we just have no confirmation here. Another thing, too, is, when I'm looking at a chart, I want to ask myself, what can this chart do for me? And, honestly, I believe it can go right back up here, to tell you the truth. I really do. So let's think about that. What if we waited for this to break out? So let's put another line in here. What if we waited for it just to break out of $30? So what would it do? It might look something like this, right? We're going to get kind of quick about it. So up it goes. I promise you, if it gets up in this area right here, it's going to pull back. I promise you it is. And then what we're going to do is we're going to wait for those buyers to come in right in here. And then we'll look for that entry, that type of setup. That's confirmation right there. That's a trend starting right there, okay? So now let me ask you this. If you were to buy it in here, and if it were to go up here, would 106% be enough money? Darn right it would be. Darn right it would be. And that's what I think the safer trade is on this, okay? So I hope that makes sense. Thank you very much, okay? All right. Let's talk about the art of profit taking real quick here, all right? See if I have this right. The art of taking profits. There's all kinds of webinars out there. There's a lot of stuff, and people always ask, where do I put my stop? Where do I put my stop? Actually, putting a stop on is far easier than taking profits. Taking profits is extremely hard. Extremely hard. And I'm gonna. Whoops, where's my mouse at? Mouse. Seriously, where's my mouse? Hang on for a second. Huh. My mouse won't go down there. Well, doggone it. I'm going to, hang on, I'm going to try something. Seriously, I don't know why it won't do that. I'm going to move this out of the way. Hey, what do you know? There we go. And let me make this official. There we are. We'll do it that way. Okay. So seriously, I truly, truly believe that setting up stops is far easier than taking profits. But yet, most people, all they want to know, when in a trade, the question is a target. That's one, which that has nothing to do with taking profits. And then they want to know where a stop is. Well, a stop is pretty darn easy. It really is. Just put a line in. That's your stop. If price goes up and it comes down, you get stopped out. Be stopped out. That's all it is. Ask yourself where you like the trade. That's why you're buying it. That's why you're buying it. Ask yourself where you would not like the trade. And maybe you wouldn't like the trade anymore if it's right here. Put your stop in there. Stops are easy. Taking profits are not so easy. See, the thing about taking profits is we're human and we have this greed thing going on with us. Everybody has it. And while greed is good, greed also needs to be controlled. You can have too much greed. I don't anyone raise your hand or anything, but I'll bet you everyone in this room has had this happen to them more than one time. And it may have even happened within the past 10 days where you're in a position and here, this might be the point at which you bought the stock and it comes up, you're making money, and somewhere along the line, you seem to think that that's a target up there. Malcolm raises his hand. You seem to think that there's a target up there, like whoever, somebody said there was a target, you see a target, I don't know. You dreamed it last night, doesn't matter. There's some kind of target up there. So it moves up and you're making money. These are dollars. This thing is going up, right? And you see that target. Well, all of a sudden, you see a little red. Hey, that's okay. You find every excuse in the world to stay in it. Little red. You find, again, 101 excuses to stay in this chart. That's your target, by God. So maybe it does. Maybe it does. Now you think you're the smartest trader in the world. It starts to move up. It gets up here and all of a sudden it does this again. But you don't take any profits because that's your target, and by God, that's what somebody said. That chart's moving up. You find every reason in the world to stay in it. You do it again. You do it again. You do it again. You do it again. And before you know it, greed got the best of you because now you're selling it for less than you paid for it. Or maybe you sold it here. You made a whole $1.50. Good for you. Great trade. Don't let greed get the best of you. Greed needs to be controlled, okay? Greed. Look, I know everybody's done this, okay? This has happened to all of us, and it's not going to stop. What we just need to do is control it a little better. But I don't believe it's going to stop. I don't believe that everybody is such a machine that this is never going to happen to. It's not the case. It's going to happen to you again. The trick is to control it a little bit better. That's all. Trading is like a winning sports team with multiple players. So let's do it this way. And I'm sure I'm going to forget something here, okay? But in your trading team, things you may have a team that looks for a trend. You might have a team that looks for a buy signal. You might have and on your team there's multiple. Well, let's do it this way. Now let's change this. You have a team, and you have a player. There we go. A player that looks for a trend. You have a player that looks for a buy signal. You have a player that looks for a chart pattern that makes sense to you, things like that, okay? You have a player that is in charge of the stop. You have a player that's in charge of profits. And if any one of these fail, it screws your trade up. All your players, they're part of your team. All right? You have to have that. And right here, I'm not going to talk about, tonight is about profits, not stops. But you have to have that on your team. You have to have the stop loss protection plan, the player that's in controls that stop loss. If you don't have that, it doesn't matter how many profits you make. You're going to end up getting your tail end handed to you, okay? So, the art of taking profits. And I'm sure somebody could come up with other ways, okay? And maybe a week from now, I'll have 10 different ways down here that you can take profits. You could use resistance. You have price action. Rolls up, it pulls back. You get your buy signal in here. It rolls up. All of a sudden, you're faced with resistance here. Maybe that's your target. Maybe it is, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. Not at all. But don't get caught up in greed where you don't take some profits. Don't get caught up in that, all right? Fib lines. Maybe somebody uses fib lines, and, what are we going to do? I can't draw fib lines on here, so, maybe you've got some fib lines here. Maybe you're using those to help you with taking profits. You buy into a position, and you're going to get out at, I don't know, a higher fib line or something like that. If that's your plan, great. You've got a plan there. A lot of people use moving averages. I got to tell you that, and there's nothing wrong with that. I use moving averages probably way more than I ever share with anybody. And the reason I don't talk about them too much is because they're not really on my chart. But it doesn't mean that my scans aren't using them. Okay, I use a lot of moving averages in my scanning. And also, 34 years in the business, honestly, I can almost tell you if this is probably here, let's do this. Say there's the T line right here. Say this is the 50 period moving average right here. I can almost tell you where the 34 EMA is, things like that, or maybe the 20 simple, something like that. I can almost tell you where they are just looking at the chart. So if I'm in a position here and I see it moving up and I see a sell signal in there, I'm going to pay attention to that. See, I'm using a moving average. So maybe somebody uses those, and hey, 2 thumbs up. I'm all for you. I really am. So have we? Let's see. Is that the next slide? Yeah. We've all heard the comment. You can't. This. I'm sorry. That should be can't. My bad. This should be. Well, no, it's can. You can never go broke. Yeah, it's can. You can never go broke by taking profits. All right, look, I've said this more than one time. In fact, I've probably said this way too many times. And the truth is, you can go broke taking profits. Yes, you can. And if you're in a position, right? If you're in a position, and I should have made this just red. If you're in a position and you're taking profits right here, and you're losing trades, you don't adhere to that stop, but your losing trades are down here, then what happens is you're at the zoo. I'm going to change that. You're at the zoo. And on one side, you see a cage with elephants in it, and another side, you see a cage with exotic birds in it. And what you've got is a case of you eat like a bird and poop like an elephant. Yeah, you may be great at taking profits. Absolutely. But if your profits are so small that they're not overcoming your losses, well, you're at the zoo. Don't be at the zoo. Don't be at the zoo. So we want to be looking at trades. We want to take profits. We do. We absolutely want to take profits, but we want them to be bigger than our losses. And sometimes what we can do, which I think this is a terrific way to do it myself, is, you come up, you take some profits off the table, and then, assuming you have more than one share, or assuming you have more than one contract. And by the way, for the person that's starting to type right now, I can only afford one contract. Just stop typing right now. Because that is so untrue, and you are so wrong about that. You are so wrong about that. And we can talk about that if we have time here in a minute, okay? So, man, I'm all about taking some profits off. But what I want to do is also, we can let some of our position go. And this is how you get those bigger profits. Okay, you ever hear me claim too much that, man, I just took, if you hear me claim too many times, 50% profits, 100% profits. You ever hear me say that too many times in a row? Call BS on me, okay? Because it's not going to happen. I'm going to take some profits here, and I'm good with 10, 15%. And then ideally, right now I think the market's kind of rough to do this. That I do. But ideally, you want to keep some of your position to move up. And this is where you do get into some of these 50%ers, some of these 100%ers. On the second piece or last third or last quarter of your position right there. So this might be something to think about. But I think what we need to do is we really need to take a look at this. And are you a trader that goes to the zoo? Think about that tonight. When we're all done here, when you sit down with your cocktail or your iced tea, your coffee, or whatever you do, I had no idea I was going to talk about this so much. Contemplate this. Are you a trader that goes to the zoo? Are you a bird or are you an elephant? Where are you on this? Think about that. Just think about that tonight. So, some of you have seen this before. And I got to tell you, I think this is a huge game changer. I think this is just a massive, massive game changer. So why do I think this and how do I know? Well, I have proved it to myself. I've done coaching to help people do this. And I've seen their trading turn around because wow, Rick, this is amazing. Traders in the trading room have done this sort of thing, and their trading has turned around to the point where they're just ecstatic, just absolutely ecstatic. And this is how HRC, this is how I take, double my account. And it's really simple math. And it's all about taking profits. And you don't have to close the position out. This is probably something I think that is very, very important. You don't have the position. You don't have to close it out. But you do have to buy more than one share or one contract. You do have to do that. Again, anybody that's starting to type, I can't buy more than one contract because I don't have money. I'm going to call BS on you because yes, you can. Yes, you can. You just can't trade $100 stocks. But there's plenty stocks out there you can trade. So, let's say, for instance, you have, let's see, does that show up? I'm going to do that in, we're going to do it in red. Let's say you have I'm going to make it bigger. Sorry. I'll get my act together here in a minute. There we go. Let's say you have an account of $5,000. Now with $5,000, you're right, you can't trade Apple. You can't trade Amazon. You can't trade Tesla. You can't trade Microsoft. You're right. You can't do that. Don't even think about it. Can't do it. But you can trade smaller, less expensive charts. So let's say you have $5,000. You can trade plug. Exactly right, HT. You can. You absolutely. Divide it by 243. Now, don't get your panties in a wad over 243. This is just how many days a year I think you can trade. Maybe somebody else trades 250 days. I don't know. Maybe somebody else trades 200 days. I don't know. Just adjust that number. But for our calculation, we're going to use 243. So if we have a $5,000 account, your goal is to make more money. Don't let greed get the best of you, okay? Do not try to turn this into a $50,000 account in 1 year. I don't care what you've heard. I don't care what people say out there or what kind of emails you get out there, people claiming they turned $5,000 into $3 million. That's hogwash. And the simple thing is to do, just make them prove it to you. That's all. Make them prove it. And I don't mean by some made up 1099 that they printed off and they typed in some numbers. Make them prove it. You want to see their account. You want to see this thing in action. All right? All right. Enough of that. So don't let greed beat you. $5,000. I think it's, if you double it, if you even just added, let's see, double would make it at $10,000 in 12 months. Even if you got to $7,500 in 12 months, you are doing fabulous. You are doing ecstatic. Absolutely ecstatic. It's great, those kind of numbers. But you have to have a plan and think about your trading as that team. And all the players have to do their thing, okay? So let's divide that by 243. Do you know that all you've got to do is net $21 a day? Good grief almighty. That's all you have to do is net an average of $21 a day. That's it. You know what? Monday, you might not do that. Tuesday, you might not do that. Wednesday, you might not do that. Thursday and Friday, maybe everything comes together, right? In a week, what you've got to do is $105 net. That's it. And you are on your road to doubling that account. Now, if somebody hasn't figured it out already, you know, you're going to double it this year, you're going to double it next year, double it the year after, double the year after. Just go not right now, but just go think about how much money that is after, 5 years? 5 years, that's all. Just think about what that comes out to. So, at the end of the month, you're going to have, I wish I would have wrote that down, 2,100, I believe is what it was. $2,100. Pretty amazing. Pretty doggone amazing. So, somehow I don't think that's right. 105 times 20. Huh, it is. Okay. Wow. So, 420. I knew that wasn't right. Because that's a week. That's right. Thanks, guys. Man, 420. 420. Pot. You're going to have pot. That's what you're going to have. You're going to have pot. You're going to have pot. So let's buy pot tomorrow. So here's the thing. If you're buying a position and say it moves up, okay? And you're in that position and you get to $21. I'm not suggesting that you sell it. I'm not suggesting you sell it. All right. If the candles are still looking good and everything looks good, again, I'm not suggesting you sell it. What I'm suggesting is go with it. And then at the first hint of a problem, take some of this off the table. Remember, all you've got to do is take $21 off. That's all you have to do. So if you have 2 contracts, if you're trading options, 2 contracts, when you get to a point where you're getting a little nervous, take half off. Maybe this number up here is $75. I don't know, maybe. Man, you have just, 20, 40, 60, not quite 4, say 3.5 times, 3.5 goals is what you've taken. Look, you're going to have losses. This is a fact, okay? So being in good charts, taking 3 goals off, that covers you for some of those losses that you're going to take. Because to do this, all you have to do is make that $21. Now, if you have more than $10,000, just put your number in there and do the math. That's all you have to do. Okay? These kids that do math. Mine's Jethro math. That's what mine is. Does that make sense? Does anyone not get this? And I think, yeah, but HT, enough for grocery money. But here's the thing, HT, never, never, never take your money out of your account until you can. And if you have a $5,000 account, you cannot ever take money out of it. Not ever. Okay? You can never do that. Groceries, beer, new boat, doesn't matter. Never take money out of your account until the account gets big enough that you can justify it. And $5,000 is not big enough. It just is not. How do you pay your... Well, you better have extra money somewhere else. Look, trading is not a poor man's game. I'm not going to lie to you here. I'm not going to lie to anybody here. Trading is not a poor man's game. It is not. And you've got to work there. You've got to get there. How did you fund your trading account? Somewhere you had to fund it. If you can only fund it with $5,000, then you have to work that up. I've had people ask me, say, hey, Rick, I've got 5,000. Actually, it was 10,000. I remember one just a couple months ago. Rick, I have $10,000. Can I make a living off that? No, you cannot. No, you cannot. But now if you turn that $10,000 into, $150,000, I don't know if you can make a living. Depends on your living. But you can certainly take some money off the table. You can certainly have a little fun money. You can certainly buy yourself a vacation every year, things like that. You can absolutely do that. But if you think you're going to make a living off $5,000 or $10,000 or $20,000 or $30,000, it's not going to happen. Look, I'm not the person that's going to fill you full of BS. I'm not that person. I'm not that person that's out here to sell you something. I'm not showing you anything to sell you anything. Nowhere am I going to say, okay, now for $1,900, I'm going to sell you or give you this package that will show you how to do this. Nope, it's not there. It's right here. But I'm not going to lie to you about everything else either. So trading is not a poor man's game. So here's the thing. Get a job, make some more money, put it in your account, or do it slowly. Do it very, very slowly. And yes, somebody mentioned tax up there. Yeah, you're going to have to pay tax on it. You know, I go to my accountant every year. I don't do my own taxes. I don't do anything with my tax. I give everything to my accountant. Here you go. I don't want anything to do with it. Nope. Want nothing to do with it. She says, Rick, you owe $78,000. She said, I'm her only customer that smiles and says, okay, I'm good with that. I am good with that because that means I made money. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want to pay taxes either, but the fact is you have to. So just get over it and pay it. You're going to grow your account, and at the end of the year, if you have $10,000, you're going to pay your 20%. Move on. What are you going to do? Bitch about it all day long? It's not going to work. It's not going to do anything for you. Move on. So take your money now and double it again. That's right, Gwen. You got it. You got it. If you're not paying taxes, you're not making money. You are just not. So let's make money first, and then let's worry about the taxes. All right, sorry, I get a little excited about this because this to me excites me. Remember to just double this account. All you've got to do is net $21 a day. Not every day are you going to make your $21. At the end of the week, your chances are much greater you're going to average $21 a day. At the end of a month, your chances are much, much, much greater. You're going to average your $21 a day. And in 12 months, you'll have doubled your money. I got to tell you, there's nothing out there that can do this outside of something illegal. When you're making your $21, remember when it goes up, if it wants to go up higher, let it go. Let it go. But the minute you're feeling nervous, if you feel uncomfortable, take some profits off the table. When you sleep at night, you need to be able to lay your head down. You need to be able to relax. You need to have 3 beers, not a 6-pack of beers to sleep. A glass of wine, not a bottle of wine to sleep. Don't go to bed nervous. Don't go to bed worried about your trading. When you make that, put it away. Put some of it away, not all of it, as long as it still looks good. Okay? All right, so what happens if you're not making money? What happens if everything you buy just turns to coal, nothing? Well, that means you're not doing something right, and that's a completely different conversation. That means that you need to bone up on trading skills, bone up on what chart patterns you want to follow. And you know, a lot of it is just simply you writing down what you want. Now, some people, when I say that, they'll come back with, I don't even know where to start. Start with a chart. Now, let's do this. I think this is all done here anyway. Start with a chart. Start with a chart. Do you like this chart? If you like this chart, start with that. You know, don't try to think about it without looking at a chart. Just start with that chart. That's all you have to do. SLV, do you like this chart? And here's what we're looking at, this part of it. If you like this chart, if this chart makes sense, if you look at this chart and you say, man, this chart makes sense. Look how this trends up and it pulls back. And then it goes up again, then it goes back. And it goes up again, and it goes back. And it goes up again, and it goes back. If you like that sort of thing, then that's where you start. Start writing about this chart. You are making yourself a plan. You now are knowing what you want to look for. If you like, what was that chart? Plug. I mean, if you like trading off the bottom, The only thing I would suggest here is limit yourself to only so many dollars lost and then be done with the bottom picking business. If you like that, go ahead, go for it. You're going to need to teach yourself that it's a non-workable game here. But if that's what you like, start with that. But limit yourself, okay? Only allow yourself to, and I'm talking about when in a month's time, when you lose $1,000 trying to pick the bottom, give up trying to pick the bottom. But everyone has to learn this the hard way. No one should ever take my word for it, or Tom's, or JP's, or JoJo's word for it. Learn this yourself. Learn this yourself. All you've got to do is you've got to look at a chart, find a chart that makes sense to you. That's all you've got to do. Call your dog in the room. Say, "Hey dog, I like this chart because it broke out of that resistance. I like that chart because it's trending. Wow, I like this chart. Look at this. That makes sense to me. Whoa, that's a bullish piercing candle. I read about that the other day." You've started your plan right there. You started that. So start by looking at a chart. And remember, trading is it really is here, let me get rid of all this. Trading really is a team sport. It really is. You've got a player on your team that's in charge of finding charts. You've got a player on your team that's maybe confirming that it's in a trend. You've got a player on your team that's setting up the stop. You've got a player on your team that is looking for a path to profits. Is there a path to profits? You've got a player that's in charge of profits. If any one of these players fail, your trade will fail. Your trade will fail if any one of these are out of line, if they don't do their job. So trading is a team sport. It's not an I sport. It's a team sport. And all you have to do is keep your players in line. And if you have a stock, everybody's allowed to screw up. Okay? Every player is allowed to screw up. You have a stock that fails, then you go back and say, "You know what, player, you did a good job because you had a stop in there. You protected us from bigger losses. So I'm good with that." But if that player doesn't stop that loss, and if that player allows if you start going to the zoo, then you need to take a look at that player and fire his ass and hire a new player. Because you need that player to make sure that you're stopped out. Because not every trade is going to be a winning trade. Okay? So, I'm pooped. Let's see, I'm making money. The problem is the fluctuation of my trading account. Well, JP, I got to be honest with you. Right now, I've heard from more people, and I'm one of those, that I can't seem to find a good stretch of good trades. They look like they're good trades, but they don't follow through. This is a really rough market right now. It really, 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 really is. And it just amazes me, and I know it's baloney. I've been doing this for 34 years. There are actually people in the room that have been doing it longer, so my hat's off to you. And the folks that have been doing this longer knows that this is baloney. When this market has been choppy, and when this market has been rotten like it is, and it has been rotten lately, you see all these people that are making all this money. That is baloney. Ask them to prove it. Do you know how I sign up for every free thing there is? Okay, I get emails coming out the yin yang, And sometimes I get a little case of the rear ends, and I'll get in those emails and I'll write these people back. Prove it to me. Show me your account. And do you know that they take me off their mailing list? Oh, it's better than that remove me off your mailing list button. It really is. Just, hey, show me, prove to me, or do something like this. Man, I'm really type to them. Seriously, type to them. I'm really impressed with what you're writing in your profits. Can you tell me what your losses are? They'll take you off their mailing list because they don't want to hear that. We all have losses. They have losses. Okay? So, anyway. So trading has been difficult. It really has been difficult. It does work, Larry. I'm serious. So, anyway, profits are much harder to negotiate than a stop is. Much, much harder. But you just have to have a plan with those profits. And take this FCX. Let's look at FCX here, okay? So, who says FCX can't go here? Or what about up here? FCX can go higher. It can go up here. Let's make it an even $100, all right? But as it goes to $100, what it's going to do is it's going to go up and it's going to pull back. And it's going to go up and pull back. Now, if you're a long-term trader, you can live through this kind of business. You can do that if that's what you do. But if you're a short-term swing trader, which I think most people here are, I think. If you're a short-term swing trader, why not? When it moves and you make your $21, and maybe your $21 actually is more than that, and I'm just using 21, okay? That's based on $5,000. It moves up, you make your $21,000. Nothing wrong with that candle. Nothing wrong at all with that candle. Jim, my chart is showing. Just so you know, if that's to me. Click the refresh and reload room up there if you can't see it. If that looks great, which it does, stay in it. Maybe it moves up now. Well, maybe your $21 profit has turned into, I don't know, up this far. You could have a $200 profit here. So you bought 2 contracts. How about we close 1 contract, take it off the table? If this is up $200, you just put $100 in your pocket. You only needed $21. Now you can be a little bit easier. If it pulls back, that's okay because you've raised your stop. And even if you're stopped out, you're going to collect your $21 again. But if it pulls back and the buyers start stepping in, you're good to go. You're golden. You break out, you are golden. You're rocking and rolling here. Maybe it comes up here and finally it puts in a sell signal or something that makes you so nervous that, you know what? Good Lord. I sold 1 contract here. I made $100. It's moved up here. It's already back to $200. So maybe now it's like, you know what? That's it. I'm cooked. I'm done. So maybe you close that 1 contract and put that $200 in your pocket. Right here on this trade, we put $300 in our pocket. We were only looking for $21 out of it. That's all. Not a bad game. It's really not a bad game. You just have to have a plan for profits. We always talk about a plan for a stop. Everybody does that. Where's your stop? Everybody has a plan for it. We talk about it so many times in the room, sometimes it gets so old. It gets so old. Today we were looking at FCX. We were looking at the 3-bar chart. Where are you going to put your stop? Why did I buy it? I bought it because of this engulfing candle here. We had follow through. This is what we talked about. Where's our stop? Well, based on this chart here, I don't think I would like it if it came back below that candle right there. We talk about this all the time. I don't think we talk enough about profits. Remember, profits is a team player as well. Or it's a team game, and you have to have players on there. So, anyway, that's kind of it. If anyone has any last minute questions, Barry's asking how many have a system for keeping track of their trades. I just use the portfolio in TradeHawk, David. And I know this sounds crazy. Serious as a heart attack. You guys, I'm going to share something with you. Serious as a heart attack. So, look, I can handle a lot of trades, okay? I've been doing this long enough. I can handle a lot of trades. But here, I'm going to share something with you. Let me get rid of this here. So in TradeHawk, your portfolio is like yay. Now, I have a 27-inch monitor. All right, the monitor is only so high and so low. I don't even know what that measures. It's a 27-inch monitor, but that's not 27 inches that way. So when I'm looking at my portfolio here, seriously, you've got one trade, another trade, and yes, I have losing trades. So you have another trade, you have another trade. Here, let's throw some winning trades on there, okay? At some point, I run out of space, and I can't see them all. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but that's my max. I know I can handle more than that. But if I can't see them, I don't want them. If I have to come over here and do the scroll bar that's over here and scroll down to see the ones on the bottom, I've got too many positions on. Which, when you stop and think about this, why do you need so many positions? Why do you need? Now, I think you need more than one. I think you need more than two. There's nothing wrong with 3. Now, 4, 5, 6, okay. But why do you need more positions? And I don't think you do. I really don't. Here's what I've run into, though. I've seen people, and I've done this. Believe me, I've done this. I've seen people, they're in trades, and the trades they're in are red. So they keep trading. Now, here's some hard truth for you. If you can't make 4 trades, 1 out of 4 trades turned green, why the heck are you buying another one? What makes you think you're going to turn that one green? But you know, that's what we do. We keep adding because we're looking for that green trade. Stop the craziness. Stop the insanity. Get these to turn green. If you can't get them to turn green, for God's sakes, don't buy another one. Because everything you touch seems to be red. So stop touching them. Just stop. If you can't turn one out of those green, then stop for a while. So seriously, that's what I do. If I can't, on my 27-inch monitor, which that's not 27 inches top to bottom, if I can't see my trades, I'm done. And I can see about 10 max. 9, I think, fits. So, crazy way to do it. But that's the way I do it. And everybody, there, Malcolm is sharing what he does right there. Stop the insanity. That's right. That's right. Trading shouldn't, like I said, you know, you should go to bed tonight maybe with a glass of wine, a beer, cocktail, whatever if you do something like that. But you should not go to bed with a bottle of wine, a fifth of scotch, or a six-pack of beer. Go to bed relaxed, easy, no stress. If you're stressed out about the market, take a break for a couple of days. If you're stressed out because you have a buttload of long trades on, well, that's your bad. Yesterday said to get the hell out of them. Learn that right there. So if you're bleeding like crazy today because we gapped down, learn from this mistake. Don't let it beat you up. You see a bearish engulf in the SPY and you're long a bunch of things, start closing them out. Start closing them out. Get ahead of the game. Relax. Smell the roses. Things like that. Okay. All my trades are handwritten on a regular line notebook paper with a short written plan, 2 lines. My max is 12 option trades. Nice, Jeff. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. Anyone stressed out, watch that video. I'm going to come back and watch that, Malcolm. Gwen, I created a personal list in TC2000 for each year and put my old trades there. Wow. I can easily see each chart which has a buy and sell mark price. Very cool. That's good stuff, Gwen. Nice. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Malcolm. Appreciate it. All right, so seriously, I have no insight on what we're going to do tomorrow. Let's see, did anything change? Here, let's do this. Nah, nothing really changed. Just a nice little doji here. Kind of equal, top and bottom. Kind of close to equal. I can say this. Until we break over that trend line, or basically the T line, watch out, okay? If we start breaking below today's low, the 50 period is likely to be tagged. And, I have no clue if the buyers are going to come in there, or are we going to see more selling? I don't know. I really don't know. The Qs, holy moly. The Qs, we'll see what happens. If the Qs can pop up and break out of this downtrend line here, then we've got something. I think we do then. But we're going to need to be above about 332.85 here is I think what I would like to see. So anyway, there's my 2 cents on it. We need to take a look. We need to watch that VIX chart. And anything above the 50 period moving average, I'm going to have to remain bullish on the VIX right here. And anything above the 50, it might look like this. So here we are today. If we just come right down like that, I'm going to remain bullish on the VIX until we go below the 50. And if we're below the 50, I'm back bullish. But if we're anything above the 50 here, I'm going to be a little bit more toward the bearish side and definitely cautious. All right, there we go. I want to thank everybody for being here. I really appreciate it. Hope you guys all have a great day. Thank you so much, and we'll see you tomorrow, all right? Thanks a lot for all the input here. I appreciate it. You guys take care. Great night.